Welcome to Influence, a production of This Week in Health IT, where we discuss the influence of technology on health with the people who are making it happen. My name is Bill Russell, recovering healthcare CIO and creator of This Week in Health IT, a set of podcasts and videos dedicated to training the next generation of health IT leaders. This podcast is brought to you by Health Lyrics, helping you to build agile, efficient, and effective health IT. Let's talk. Visit healthlyrics.com to schedule your free consultation. Today, B.J. Moore, recently hired CIO for Providence St. Joseph Health, joins us. Good morning, B.J., and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Bill. Thank you for having me.
Wow, that is a phenomenal jacket, and you wore it at the Chime event, and we did not run into each other. I can't believe we didn't.
I got a lot of compliments on it, so figured if I didn't know anything at the conference, I might as well be dressed in a nice sport coat. So good luck to me.
Yeah, so you're new in the role. You're just a couple weeks in at this point?
Yep, 3 weeks in.
3 weeks in. So Providence St. Joseph Health, for those people who don't know, is fairly large, 51 hospitals, 829 clinics, 119,000 caregivers, 38,000 nurses, 25,000 physicians, 2.1 million covered lives in 2 health plans, 1.6 billion in community benefit. And yeah, so it's by any measure, that's pretty big. You've been there for about 3 weeks, so I expect you have it all figured out. You know exactly, got the lay of the land. You know exactly what you're going to be doing.
Absolutely, totally have it nailed after 3 weeks. An expert for sure.
Yeah,
Obviously joking.
Yeah, it's a big role, and I don't know what the revenue is now, but it does cover Texas, California, New Mexico, all the way up the coast, all the way even into Alaska.
That's right.
And so it's a pretty big role.
Yeah, we're over 23 billion at this point in time. I assume I can share that. If not, that'll be one of my early rookie mistakes.
You're learning. Well, it's public information, and I was at the JP Morgan conference. I heard from Venkat, and he shared the numbers, and so I think they're out there. So give us an idea of your background and what's the road, how you ended up at Providence St. Joe's.
So did 26 years at Microsoft, various roles. I was in finance, operations, so I was in marketing, IT. Last 2 divisions I was in, it was Windows and then the cloud and the AI group. So 26 years there. After 26 years, it was like, am I going to be there for 30 years? Was I ready for a change? And the question was absolutely yes. Venkat, you may know, we worked together at Microsoft, and so he reached out to me, and the timing was perfect. So great run at Microsoft, had a great time there. Couldn't say enough great things about that organization, but excited to be in a new industry, excited to be in a new role, excited to be part of this digital transformation.
Yeah, I find it's interesting when they pull you in for the interview and they go for the hard sell. And the hard sell is essentially, do you want to sell software the rest of your life, or do you want to do something that's going to make an impact on the community and the people around you? And, to be honest with you, I think a lot of the people I hired from outside the industry, that really resonated with them of, hey, you know what, for this period of time, I'd really like to do something I know that's going to impact the local community. Not that what Microsoft's not doing doesn't impact, but just in a different way.
Yeah, certainly the mission is super compelling, and the melding of technology and that mission is just a perfect fit for me. Yeah,
you bring your experience. So you've just taken over. Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to talk about some, the number one question people are going to ask is, can a person come in from a technology company, take over a CIO role, and really do the things that need to be done? And my premise is absolutely. There's enough things that are the same across the technology landscape, and Microsoft was clearly far ahead of where we are in healthcare. So you've taken over this large IT shop, large in terms of people, systems, number of applications, size of the business. Give us an idea of what the first 60 days look like for you coming in. What are you looking to get your arms around, and what are you looking to accomplish?
Yeah, the first 60 days, I do have a strong technology background from Microsoft, so the first 60 days isn't really to immerse myself in the technology. Certainly need to understand what is the unique things about healthcare and the systems we use. For example, Epic. really the first 60 days is to immerse myself in the business. Not going to become a healthcare expert after 60 days by any stretch of the imagination, but how do I meet with administrators, healthcare givers? How do I get out in the hospitals, the healthcare system, really understand how the business works? What are the unique things about this industry? What are the unique challenges about our particular environment? So I am coming in with a lot of hypotheses on how we should be organized and what technologies we can use and what that digital transformation looks like. But really, the first 60 days is about learning the business, learning about Providence St. Joseph Health, connecting with my peers, connecting with other leaders in the org. So it's really more of a business focus for the first 60 days, which as a technologist doesn't seem completely natural, but anything other than immersing myself would be premature. I can't just jump in and start making technology decisions without understanding the business.
Yeah, and the good news is you probably have 100,000 some odd healthcare experts around you at that organization to help you.
And that's kind of when people ask, why did Rod pick, our CEO pick somebody from the tech industry, and that's exactly what I say. We have 119,000 healthcare experts, 119,001. Would I make a big difference? Probably not. Hopefully bringing that fresh perspective from the outside, what we're able to do, tech, that, journey to the cloud. Hopefully I can have an impact greater than just, 119,000 plus one.
Yeah, and we've had Rod on the show, and the thing you pick up very clearly is he's not afraid of the future. He believes that that technology will form the foundation for where this industry is going to go, and it will change it pretty dramatically. We're going to see new businesses spin up. We're going to see new ways of doing business within the traditional businesses, and we're going to see new models for going out. And so I think when I hear him talk about it, it's we need people from outside the industry, because when you look at healthcare and the experience that people have within healthcare of their data not following them and no easy access to it, and there's a lot of friction within the experience.
Right.
And then you look at these other industries where, I can now do my grocery shopping while we're recording this video and have it delivered to my house this afternoon. You realize that's just, in terms of priorities, that's just wrong, that we can do our shopping that easy, but our healthcare experience is a challenge at this point.
Yeah, there's really a need for consumerization of healthcare, right? You've seen that in other industries, is how do you make it very consumer-centric and focused, and something you can do on your phone or an iPad, and healthcare's got a
So what are you hearing? So you're out there, your first 3 weeks. What are you hearing from the organization in terms of just right off the top that they're saying, hey, you know what we need this or we need that? I always find that the first couple of days you're in that role,
Sure.
You get because you don't have a lot of the baggage that goes along with it, you're able to see things through a different lens.
Let's just say I'm very popular the first 3 weeks. Almost everybody in the business has wanted to set up a one-on-one with me, so my calendar is very, very full. Give me a lot of constructive feedback on what we could do better. And it's everything from super tactical. It's as simple as how do we onboard new healthcare providers and create access to our tools. That's too difficult for them to come on board and be productive. It's Epic, our use of Epic. I think we're on a good journey of standardizing on Epic, but how do we make that experience simpler, more friendly workflows? So that's been a trend. Around analytics, how do we unlock the data that we're capturing? That's been a big theme. We've got a lot of islands of data that are either inaccessible or accessible but aren't connected, and so a lot of feedback on having a broader data strategy. People don't articulate it this way, but I certainly take it this way. How do we simplify the operating environment? I've learned since I came on board, we've got 4,000 applications in this environment. Hopefully there's no human being in this organization that's using all 4,000, but 4,000 is just too big a number, and so it's too complex. Need to massively simplify that. So at a macro level, those are kind of the things I'm hearing from my internal customers. It's really these blocking and tackling things I've been hearing a lot about. something as simple, like I said, as application access. It's a huge issue that shouldn't be a big issue.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go down the technology path with you. I mean, the great thing about the whole Epic stand-up and those kinds of things, I mean, you have a great CMIO in Dr. Marino. I think he really gets the business and he really gets the technology and how the two can come together. And you have Aaron there who's doing innovation. You have a lot of people that you can really lean on. So it's going to be, so what I want to sort of explore with you is you're coming from Microsoft. Microsoft clearly has adopted the cloud in a big way and is building the cloud for many in a big way. So I think people assume that you're going to be sort of have a bent towards, how is cloud going to be applied to this, 4,000 application complex environment to really to simplify and to automate a lot of the things that were manual before. So give us an idea of what your premise might be of what it could look like. I realize it'll change as you get deeper into the business, but what's your premise coming in?
Well, first, some background on what I did at Microsoft. So I was responsible for all of our commercial revenue systems, so a $70 billion business. And you asked earlier why I decided to leave Microsoft. One of the reasons is I completed our cloud journey. I was happy to say, as of last October, I'd moved this $70 billion business to be 100% on the cloud, not a single asset on premise. And so to play it forward to what I expect to do at Providence, I expect to do a similar thing. We've got various data centers, all 4,000 of these applications are hosted on-prem. We haven't leveraged any of the cloud services. So the journey as I see it today, again, 3 weeks in, I need to learn more is really getting out of that data center business, getting out of the business of hosting our own applications. And that isn't going to just be taking these 4,000 applications we have and moving it to the cloud. First thing it's going to be to simplify this environment significantly. And so instead of moving 4,000 apps, maybe we move 1,000 applications off premises and into the cloud. It's going to be using, infrastructure as a service, probably primarily lifting and shifting these applications to the cloud. On the data front, we talked about that. Our data strategy is going to have to include big data and leveraging the platform as a service that the cloud offerings, have, either Amazon or Microsoft, and really have a sound data strategy around that. And then adopting software as a service. And so we've selected Oracle Financials that are in the cloud as our ERP. And so in the case of ERP, we'll get away from on-premises altogether and move to a software as a service model with Oracle. So what it looks like to me is, I don't know how long that journey takes, 2 or 3 years, but we're either all infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service. And this concept of hosting these applications on premises just goes away.
Yeah, so
that's my bold vision. My team looks at me like I'm crazy, but if I can move a $70 billion, and nobody would accuse Microsoft of having a simplified business model, if I could do that already, I feel at least I've got the chops to do that in this environment.
So let's talk about why. So you did it for a $60 billion organization. And this is just, the purpose of the show is to train the next generation of health IT leaders. So I would imagine even some of your staff is listening to this going, why do we need to go to the cloud? This works. But cloud models are more agile, more efficient, more whatever. So give us an idea of what happened to that $70 billion organization as a result of your cloud move.
Yeah, so for one, let's just start with the infrastructure itself. It's hard to attract the kind of talent that an Amazon or Microsoft can get. They're running those data centers, running those networks, securing that environment. We just can't compete in that space. It's just not a core competency. So just from a core competency perspective, it makes sense to move to the cloud. But you hit it on the head. It's really about agility. I'll use a Microsoft example. When I was at Microsoft, if I wanted to do a new project, I'd have to plan my hardware purchases 6 months in advance, because by the time I got the order in, the hardware came in, it got racked, got all the OS installed. It was a good 6 months, right? Had to find the space and the power in the data center. So 6 months of latency. And then once I got that hardware, I'd hold on to it for dear life, because if I gave it up, I'd have to wait another 6 months. So this is my dev environments, my test environments, my user acceptance environments, my production environments. That concept completely went away when we moved to infrastructure as a service. So if I wanted a new VM, a new virtual machine, 15 minutes after I configured it, the VM was up and running. If I wanted to create a development environment and run that for 6 hours, I could. At the end of that 6 hours of that dev cycle, I could either blow that environment away and not worry about what I'm going to do with that hardware. I could, what we call snoozing that environment, where that environment just gets written to disk. I'm no longer paying compute charges to storage of that environment. That environment can sit there for a week, 2 weeks, unsnooze it. 5 minutes later, I had a dev environment up and running, and I could do my development or test or my UAT environments. On these legacy environments, even if I get down to 1,000 applications, we're not going to be engineering on those environments. And so taking these legacy environments and be able to create the environments, but then just have them stored to disk, waiting for 3, 6, 12 months before I need to touch them again. So it not only gives you agility, it gives you, cost savings, security of the environments, right? That's one less environment for somebody to hack into or exploit. So, infrastructure as a service, there's just so many variables there. Now, one thing we should address, and Microsoft's not going to like me saying this, if you just take your existing on-premises environment and lift and shift it to the cloud, you're actually going to pay more money than if you were on-premises. So you can't just take your existing practices and the way you manage hardware and move it to the cloud. You have to adopt new things. So auto scaling, on low load periods, maybe at night, you're down to just 1 or 2 VMs to run a workload. During the day, during peak loads, maybe that expands to 6, 7, 8. So it's nice to have the elasticity. And like I said, your dev and test environments, they don't have to be up and running and sitting idle. They can just be paused or snoozed and sitting on the side. So, that's just a simple example of the value of going to the cloud and the agility. Looks like you're trying to jump in, but I'll let you jump in here. Sorry.
No, I having gone through this a little bit, and I think some of the pushback will be, and by the way, I agree with you 1,000%. Some of the pushback will be around, hey, 4,000 applications. You're going to have things. Literally, you're going to have things that require dongles, and to client server to all the way up to cloud native applications. You're going to have a few startups that have done cloud native applications. That would be great if there was cloud native alternatives to all these applications. So it will be multiple strategies, won't it? I mean, there's not going to be like a one strategy fits all to get it all to the cloud, I would imagine.
No, it's not one size fits all. And some of the feedback I've got is, hey, some of these applications run on NT4. Some of them run on Windows XP. Some of these companies don't exist anymore, and we can't get rid of them. And as a CIO, I'm thinking, gosh, if we've got an app running on NT, like it can't be secure. Like Microsoft no longer supports that operating system; it's no longer patching that. So it's not a matter of the difficulty of moving that to the cloud because maybe it isn't cloud ready. I'm looking at it through a different lens in this case to say, boy, this is a huge security risk. What do we do to get that out of our environment altogether? It's part of that simplifying that environment. Hopefully it's one of those 3,000 I can get rid of. Is there an alternative? Is there some consolidation we can do? Can we just get rid of that? There's going to be a lot of triage that needs to be done. But, as a CIO, I can't just have a Windows NT machine sitting in an environment that's just, at a high risk to be hacked.
Yeah, I mean,
it takes some action.
Yeah, NT and XP. I mean, there's not a lot of XP workstations, but there's an awful lot of XP clinical devices still out there that need to be secured. So let's jump over to the data side, because one of the benefits of cloud is the whole data and innovation side. So your innovation team does a lot of really interesting and cool things up at Providence. I'm still trying to get the team to come on the show, so I'll keep sending the emails. But they're hungry for data. They need data. They're getting data from consumers that they want to move into your environment, and they're also taking information from the clinical environment, applying intelligence to that, and helping people to live healthier lives across the board. So What does your strategy look like to give them the data and the tools they need in order to start building out those consumer level experiences and building new experiences for the West Coast?
So my 3 weeks, I haven't been able to dive into it. So it's more of a kind of a cookie cutter answer, but I can give you that answer, which is, as I mentioned earlier, our data is locked up in these silos of data, SQL based, legacy database, legacy databases. So we need to have a data warehousing strategy where we move this data to the cloud in really a big data model, right? As soon as you start taking all the clinical data, the EHR data, consumer data, IoT, the medical device data, right? Just kind of these traditional analytic tools that we're working with. And so I know we're going to have a big data strategy. The big data strategy has got to be cloud-based. And then you can have regular analytic tools that everybody's used, but now you can start putting these more advanced analytic tools on top of it, like machine learning and other artificial intelligence type approaches. So I know what the pattern looks like. I know what we need to move towards. I did it at Microsoft, but like I said, my first 2 months is really learning the business. I haven't really deep dived into what our data infrastructure looks like, other than I know it's locked up in SQL servers or other DBs.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, as a CIO, I remember when they came in and said, "Hey, we have," and they counted the number of SQL databases, and it was an exorbitant number. Almost close to 1,000 different data stores, and you're sitting there going, give me the characteristics of those, and they broke it down, and it turned out that of that number, 90% had a something called a patient, so patient data in it. And you realize, my gosh, we capture patient data in almost 4,000 of those systems. Maybe 3,000 of them have a record called patient, and they're not tied together in any way at this point.
Not tied together in any way. And then also over time, people have taken existing data and duplicated it. So you have multiple sources of truth. The data's been transformed. People were empowered. Empowerment's good, but if it then gives you multiple sources of truth, that isn't helpful when you actually try to do analytics.
So what are some other practices, maybe not technologies, but what are some other practices, maybe around DevOps, those kind of things that you're thinking you might bring with you, or some other practices that you've seen outside of the industry that you think might be applicable in healthcare?
I can speak to, what I'm seeing here at Providence St. Joseph Health. So we need to move to more modern combined engineering, right? We still have a central PMO organization, and a separate dev kind of config organization, a separate QA organization. Dev and test really need to be combined into a combined dev function, move away from these silos that we've had. Need to move away from a PMO type function where it's got generic PMs and move to really dedicated PM teams that have deep subject matter expertise that really can add a lot of business value to our initiative. And then more advanced, and it'll be later in the process, will be moving to DevOps versus the separate, support teams that really exist outside of engineering. So certainly need to modernize that workforce from an engineering practice perspective. And then again, speaking to our environment, it doesn't look like we've got a really strategic outsourcing function where we've looked at things and said, do we have the core competencies? Are we the experts? Can we have others run that as a service on behalf, do it at a cheaper or higher effectiveness level? And then, offshore, we don't have any teams in India. So whether it's 24/7 support coverage, report writing, application configuration, number of things we could lever an offshore team for. So I know, hopefully my team doesn't listen to this. I've been pretty chill.
No,
I've been very transparent. I've already had 2 town halls. I've already talked about this. Nobody's freaked out, but these are levers that we pulled in the tech industry 15 plus years ago. And here we are, this nonprofit struggling, from a margin perspective, and we haven't, done things from either an engineering practice or from a staff perspective really optimize their spend.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons we started this show was so that health IT organizations would have their staff listen to it, and I have had some CIOs say, I'm having my direct reports listen to it. And we're having conversations around it, just because we'll talk about RPA, we'll talk about machine learning, we'll bring in experts around these things, and hopefully IT staff will recognize that the job they were doing yesterday is not going to be the job, definitely not going to be the job they're doing 5 years from now.
Right.
But it might not be the same job they're doing a year from now. And we just have to get used to the fact that, including the CIO role, the job is going to change every 6 to 12 months based on what's going on in the market, what new technologies are coming to play. We talked to, I forget who we talked to. They talked about artificial intelligence is now writing code, actually writing code and applications. I'm sitting there going, well, that can't make developers happy, but it's something you want to get out there so developers realize, hey, I may have to change my skill set.
Yeah. And I hope I've got a workforce that's excited about that. I mean, these we're doing a lot of things that require a lot of manual effort that to me wouldn't be very rewarding. And the goal was to retrain folks and do these more advanced workloads that I think are mentally more stimulating and have a bigger impact, right? In a single 8-hour day, I think you can have a bigger positive impact with these modern tools, modern practices, modern tech. AI is a good example of that in machine.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for coming on the show. I think, it would be great to check back with you maybe towards the end of this year, see how you get your feet under you and you come in and go, hey, I learned a few things about healthcare. And remember what we talked about? This has changed a little bit how we thought about it. It'll be interesting to just catch up on your journey as it goes forward.
It will be, and I know I'll probably look back and say, oh, I was a little naive to think that. But frankly, I think that's the value of having me come in as well, right? I'm not maybe limited based on 30 years. This is the way we've done healthcare. Hopefully I'm bringing a fresh approach, a fresh perspective. If I'm only right 51% of the time, that's still success. And I think we can transform and move things quicker.
Yeah. And that's what I appreciate. I appreciate you coming on the show. And I appreciated Venkat's presentation at 3 p.m. because he just kept asking the question of, why can't we do things this way in healthcare? And I think that's what the new perspective gives you, is the ability to say, I think we could do it a different way, and there's probably a lot of things we should be doing a little different. So,
well, thanks for having me on the show, Bill. I really appreciate it, and I hope to connect in a couple months.
Absolutely. So this show is a production of This Week in Health IT. For more great content, check out the website at www.thisweekinhealthit.com or the YouTube channel at thisweekinhealthit.com/video. Thanks for listening. That's all for now.